Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Rachel, and this is our DIY tiny house in the beautiful mountains of Santa Cruz, California.
When we first met, one of the big things that drew us together was just our love of animals. I've always had animals. I had just had a dog die recently. When we met, she had had the same thing, and so that was a bonding experience for us. And then after we got together, we have slowly been accumulating animals to the point where our largest number was 5. We're down to 4 right now, and I think 4 is probably the best number for us. But Rachel, being an RVT, has been really helpful in having 4 animals that we can actually afford the healthcare costs for all of them. So that's always a great benefit.
We also share the property with 3 horses. They are not ours, but we do love them like they are.
As cost of living, as we all know, just keeps going up and up. This became really the only option in order to be able to stay, but stop having to have roommates, stop having to have people next to us in different apartments or above or below us. We really wanted to have our own space. We were getting a little bit older. It felt like it was time for us to have a personal space without neighbors so close. And so I talked Rachel into it in some ways.
We also were big fans of the tiny house movement at the time. We did watch a lot of the shows and kind of followed other people who were doing the movement. And I remember specifically there was a time in our living room we were watching one of the shows, and you had made a comment of like, "Oh, I could build one of those," and I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, it's kind of a nice combination of all of my life experience. So being in theater and construction in theater and just in construction in general, this house is basically like a small set for me. So I was able to design it, work with Rachel on making sure it had all of our needs fulfilled, and then actually do all the purchasing of the materials, do all the construction, and get it to the point where it's a beautiful, wonderful home for us.
Yeah. We built our house in mid-June of 2017, moved it to this beautiful property in October of 2017, and we've been living in this house full-time ever since.
It's on a 34-foot long trailer with 2 loft overhangs that make it a full length of 40 foot. We're 8'6" wide and 13'6" tall. Yeah, shortly after we moved our house onto the property, we decided to add this beautiful outdoor deck. It's a 16 by 30, and it really lets us use the outdoor space in our beautiful California weather. Then shortly after that, we added a fence around the property, a garage to store our motorcycles, and solar panels to help reduce our footprint.
We were able to move our house onto our friend's 2-acre horse ranch, and which is wonderful because it backs right up to a state park, and so we have a river access for some cooling down during the summer and amazing trails to explore while we're here. Let's go tour our tiny house. Welcome to our tiny house. So, as you can see, one of the big features that we really wanted while we were in our house was to keep the space very big and open. And one of the ways we achieved that was putting 18 windows in this house. So the best part about that is everywhere you look in our house, you always see a glimpse of outside, and that really helps expand your view and not feel so small.
And between our lofts and our main floor, we're just under 500 square feet inside the house.
So moving into our kitchen, we have this space here, which is our dining area. We have this beautiful 3x8 accordion window that we have an extended bar table that's on the other side. This is great for when we're hosting parties or having family or friends over for dinner. It really just opens up the space to accommodate more people. And then coming into here, we have butcher block countertops. We have all of our cabinetry below, so where we keep all of our plates and our cups, silverware, all that is underneath. We have a double farmhouse sink here, which I love. Another feature that we also really wanted to focus on keeping the space open in this kitchen was trying to keep open shelving systems. So that way it still keeps the space open. It doesn't start to kind of box you in. Another big feature I really wanted in this tiny was to have a full-size functional kitchen. So that includes full-size refrigerator, stove, microwave. Design-wise, I really wanted kind of like a farmhouse feel. So being on a horse ranch really inspired me to have more home style with natural wood tones and just kind of outdoor colors like the green and the oranges and the reds. So it just kind of gives you that more of a homey feel inside here. So the counter space is enormous, as you can see, which is a big feature that we really wanted in our house. And actually, the fun part is this is more counter space I've ever had in any of the homes I lived in. I love to cook at home, and I really wanted to have plenty of space where I can just kind of have all my stuff and cook. And then if John needed to come in, there's still plenty of space for him to also occupy the same space with me. A couple fun features. We do have 2 Lazy Susans on either side of this the counters, just to really utilize the space under the countertops. We have a pull-out garbage and recycling system that we built, customed, and we have 2 pull-out drawers that's on either side of the stove to help store a lot of like spices and oils and just some other extra things that we need. Another really great feature with this house is we do have a full-size pantry that all has pull-out drawers, so it really provides a lot of space for storing food and dry goods. And honestly, I think this is more storage I've ever had in any of the other spaces that we lived in. We really took advantage of really utilizing each space, and it's been wonderful.
We had looked for traditional housing. We had come out to this area. We were lucky enough because we knew we wanted to live in this particular, in the Santa Cruz Mountains. We really had an area in mind. So we were able to work with a real estate agent and started seeing what was available, and all the pricing and just everything that we could afford was a fixer-upper. And because Rachel qualifies for VA loans don't allow you to get a fixer-upper. They need a move-in ready house. And so that was a deterrent. Plus, honestly, we have more in this house than we would in a standard house because it's smaller, because the footprint's smaller, the costs were less. We're not paying for a lot of empty airspace. So we could put in heated floors, we could put in air conditioning. So we were able to get more than we normally would have been able to. So when we were first decided to become tiny house people, because of the way the law was set up at the time, I didn't feel comfortable buying property, building a house, building a tiny, putting it on the property. So I wanted to find the property that we were going to rent before we even invested $1 in our tiny house, because there's so many horror stories out there about people who purchase a tiny or build a tiny and then have to pay for storage for it because they have no place to put it. So we were lucky enough to find a wonderful person who was willing to allow us to put our tiny on their property. And we actually surprised her when we were signing the paperwork for the lease, and we said, okay, great, now we're going to start building our tiny house. She was in complete shock, thought that we were a little bit loony, that we would be able to get it done so quickly. But in 5 months, we had it able to move onto her property. So the cost for our tiny, it was $80,000 when we all said and done for just materials. That includes the deck and the garage and the fencing, everything that we have here on the site, and the appliances. So Rachel was great about frugal shopping. She waited for sales for the appliances, so we wound up getting those like half off, I think. And just material-wise, having done it all ourselves, we had no labor costs. Yeah. So a little bit went to the electrician to just pay for his services. Yes. But other than that, it was, sweat equity. I got a partial loan. I don't remember the name of the bank, but it was a bank that did loans for manufactured homes, even DIYs. So that paid for, I think it was 50,000, 30,000, 50,000. And then I got a line of credit for 20,000. And we also had some savings at the time. So between the three of those things, we were able to finance the house. The line of credit we paid off very quickly because that was high interest. So that was the first thing we tackled. And then the straight loan, the personal loan, we just paid off. It was 3 years after we built the house. So in 2020, we paid off the house. So 3 years after building this thing, we had it completely paid off, and that was a great feeling.
That was a great feeling. Yeah.
So this is our transitionary space between our kitchen and our living room. We have our dog sleeping area here, our bunk beds, and these beautiful floating steps that lead up to our bedroom loft. On the other side's got the breakfast and dinner nook. I guess it could be a lunch nook on the weekends. One of the real reasons why we put these in these positions is to hide the wheel wells. We really wanted to mask the fact that we're on a trailer, hide those wheel wells, but still utilize them where we could. So this does a great job. Over here, the bunk beds are built right on top of them. And on this side, one of my favorite parts is that we can put our feet up on the wheel well on this side when you're sitting at the stools. And then just here at the end of the counter, we took a couple wine racks and repurposed them into shoe cubbies because space in a tiny house is always at a premium. So this does a great job of utilizing a little bit of extra space. And then up here in the bedroom, this is our master bedroom. Rachel and I designed it on top of the kitchen because master bedroom should be the bigger room in the house, the bigger bedroom. It's 16 feet deep, which is great because we have a king-size bed in here, as well as a nice little sitting area for our upstairs entertainment section. We have this wonderful piece of furniture that Rachel found. It's a great little entertainment section, and it really does a good job of dividing the space. When you're up here, you really feel like you're in a bedroom and you're isolated from the rest of the house. And then as you come out of the bedroom, we really wanted to utilize the space on the other side of the entertainment center. My wife, prior to moving into our tiny house, had over 100 books, and sadly she had to reduce down to just her favorites. And then just on the other side is where we have our mini split for our air conditioning and heating for the house.
So here in our living space, John and I are big movie buffs. So we really wanted to focus on having this be our kind of movie entertainment area. So we went ahead and purchased this wonderful couch. It's a recliner couch. So we both can lay on here. It completely reclines out. We have a projector system that projects onto our 80-inch retractable projector screen. And once this thing gets going, it's like you're right in the movie theaters. It's amazing. Above our entertainment center here, we have my indoor plants. I really do value nature and bringing a little bit of that inside the house. The greenery, it just really brings a nice commodity to this tiny. So the chalkboard was something that we really liked having. We had it in our old space before the tiny. We put a chalkboard here so we can write each other notes. It's also kind of John's honey-do list. The other one is really nice is our ladder. So this was custom built by John as well, just from recycled wood. And we went ahead and stained it and sealed it. And it's a nice feature because it gives us a space to have access to our second loft, but we wanted to be able to move the ladder back and forth. So if we are not using it, we can kind of tuck it away up against the wall, and then it just kind of allows this space to be open and free. And it's really wonderful. So this is actually wallpaper. Being in a tiny, I really wanted to focus on being able to distinguish rooms for rooms. So like the kitchen, the living room, the bedrooms. And the way that I wanted to do that was break it up with color. So it kind of gives you more of a sense like you're in a house than just kind of like one big room.
We installed our own solar panels, so we have a grid-tie solar system that's self-installed, which is great, and it cuts our power bill down by quite a bit on sunny days, which is just becoming now. We also have a gray water system, so all the water that we use in our house goes through a recirculatory system, filtered, and then is pumped up to gravity feed all of our sprinklers around our property. So we're using all of our water twice, not wasting anything, and we get the benefit of having green plants when in our drought-ridden state so many other people have to turn their sprinklers off.
So Liz's house is more kind of in the middle backside of the property, and she had this kind of open space in this area that she really wasn't utilizing. So when we came on the property to view, she felt that this area would be very good to accommodate a tiny house. And so once we kind of figured out which way the direction of the house was going to sit, obviously we wanted the front side of the house to face the beautiful woods and have this wonderful view that overlooks the horse paddock versus, looking on towards the street. Was the best way we wanted to situate the house. And then we just kind of grew from there with the deck and the fencing and so forth.
Yeah. One of the things when we were deciding where to put the house and how to orient it, when we were talking to our landlord and she suggested this area, we staked it all out and we all decided it was going to be fine. Then once we've got the house in place and got the deck built, she came over very quickly after that and said, I can't believe I gave you guys the prettiest view.
That's true.
On the property. So we have the
She's
best
still
view
very envious
of the
that.
property, which is why she comes over all the time for visits.
Yeah.
Another wonderful thing for me was that I could actually start becoming a beekeeper. When I first moved in here, Liz was very adamant about the fact that she loved bees and always wanted bees herself, but didn't want to do the work. So that fit in perfectly with me. So I now have 18 bee colonies outside and trying to reduce at this point. I did too good of a job expanding. So, but the property has definitely benefited from having so many bees on it. The flowering is wonderful in the spring.
It is.
And then going into our bathroom, you just push open our rolling barn door here and come on in. My favorite feature about the house, something I had to advocate for a bit, was our bathtub. So I really wanted a full-size bathtub. My wife really wanted a full-size kitchen. So we each got the thing that we wanted, and I love my tub. We also really needed a large washer and dryer. We've got a king-size bed, so those sheets can be pretty big. So we needed the full-size appliances here. We do have a clothesline outside, so we actually don't wind up using the dryer that much, but when we need it on those rainy days, it's nice to have it. Right next to it, we've got our folding table, which is great. You just bring the laundry out, fold it right here. For me, it's even easier. My wardrobe is this little cabinet below, so all my clothes go down there. And believe it or not, underneath here, I have 70 bottles of wine in our little custom wine rack. So it's a great space. We also have our composting toilet. It's a necessity in pretty much any tiny house.
So up here, this is our second bedroom loft, famously renamed Lady Loft. This space kind of evolved more so after living in the house. I think the idea of this space was to have like a closet space, but it kind of resolved more just my own personal space. So I do have my clothes. I have my hanging clothes here that we built with the same kind of iron rod system that we really like. I have a couple boxes down here that has just some of my folding clothes that I have tucked away. I have a space here that's just kind of a little bit of my tchotchkes and some of my jewelry. We also wanted to have a bed up here, so I do have my mother that comes to visit, or friends or family if they just come and they just need a space to rest or crash. We have this nice bed here that provides that space. I do have a record system up here, so I have my mom's records from back when she was in the 60s and 70s that was just kind of sitting in a barrel in her garage. So I dusted those suckers out, brought them up here, have them now displayed, and then once in a while I'll come up here and just throw on a record and just listen to some wonderful music. I think if I could redo one of the features was I would probably have built a small little closet space downstairs. Just something to have a little more convenient when, coming out of the shower and drying off and wanting to put on your clothes, not needing to climb up the ladder to come find clothes and then go back downstairs. Since this space is really not ideal for changing. Our relationship has been wonderful. We definitely blossomed from more of a landlord-tenant to more of a very close family friend. She's at this point, we consider her family. She's been so supportive. There's a lot of communal living that we do here, so we do help each other. Like I help with the yard, I help with the animals. John helps with building projects and kind of fixing things. We just kind of have this really nice harmony of life here. I still find myself, in this house and just looking around and just being like, I can't believe we built this. It's just a wild concept because I never thought that I could ever physically do something like this. So there's so much, pride and goes into this house, that knowing that every square inch of this place we installed, every nail, every screw, every bracket, we put that energy and we did it ourselves. And it's just amazing. Like, I'm still just like, how did we do that?
Yeah. For me, I think the biggest thing that I'm proudest about this house is actually our relationship. Yeah. So we were fairly new together.
Our first year of marriage is when we built this house.
And it was definitely a test of our marriage to build this house together. But we grew so much doing this together that, I look at other people's relationships, I look at my past relationships, and I don't have nearly as strong of a bond with anyone else as I do with my wife, because I think in part we went through this journey together.
If we were able to build this house together and live in a space as tiny and still be affectionate with each other, that says a lot about our relationship. I know that we can get through anything. Any kind of challenge or obstacle that's thrown in front of us, I know we can figure out and get through it. And I think it was just the icing on the cake when we got through this. I realized, like, I did marry my lifelong partner. Like, this is a guy that I can spend every, last waking moment with, and
most of them happy.
Yes. And so I think also on top of building this house, I think it was also a statement of showing like our relationship, and that we really are a genuine, we have a genuine bond that we can really, have a lifelong life together with. So.
Thank you for watching our video and for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And for more tiny home tours and stories, click the videos below.
And join us on Instagram for bonus content,
including face-to-face conversations with us. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.